In today's video, we're going to look at some physical damage from both ships, and we've got some really great close-up pictures, and it's going to highlight the inconsistencies in the story that's being given by the ACX Crystal captain. But real quick, there had been some discussion about the idea of the communications from the FITZGERALD and why there were no communications at 1:30. Some people had posited, well, maybe they didn't have time or they were too busy doing this, that, or the other. A couple of things that stand out in that to me is whether you're Army soldier, Navy sailor, a Marine, airman, anything, you have a certain level of training that you go through, and you go through it over and over again to the point where it becomes second nature. And some of these very basic fundamental things just stick with you no matter where you're at and what's going on. And the military does that so that in situations just like this, that you don't have to necessarily think, you just do, because you've been trained to. Now, if we go down to the 8th General Order of the Navy, Sentry, to give the alarm in case of fire or disorder. While this is rather straightforward and obvious, keep in mind that a fire or disorder of some kind might be a deliberate distraction to keep you from observing some other disorderly or subversive activity. If you are certain that a fire is not meant to be a distraction, you should fight the fire if you have the means to do so. Remember, however, that your first responsibility is to report whatever is amiss. Now, I know that goes for sentries, and there's been this allegation that all these sentries would have been posted around the FITZGERALD, and somehow not a single one of them reported this. Or if they did report it, somehow they were ignored. I don't know how that can even be believable, but just to not put too fine a point on it, this is a OpNav Inst. And I had to sort through about 120 pages to get down here to this. But this goes to officer on duty during an emergency and his duties. Immediately notify the commanding officer or CDO. Maneuver the ship as ordered by the commanding officer. 3. Pass the word twice concerning the nature of the emergency and sound other appropriate internal alarms, including the general alarm or collision. Number 4, notify ships in the vicinity, the OTC, SOPA, and port authority of the nature of the emergency. So this is right in, this is med.navy.mil sites. And this just is a 250 or 300 page document that talks about all of the different roles of everybody and what they do in all these different situations. So, not to waste too much time on that, but the idea that it would have been in the training regimen of every sailor aboard that communicating this would have been of paramount importance, I don't think can be debated. But with no further ado, now where we're going to start is here. We've seen this picture a lot. Yeah, let me kill that light. And there's been some odd things. This giant tear here, right on the front stem, I think this is called. And then up here, this bending of this this white part around here, around this edge. It's also been alleged that, below the waterline here is the big sonar boom that's all painted red. So we got red paint, we got black paint, we got white paint. But strangely enough, and here's a good zoomed in picture of the damage. Now, not a drop of paint anywhere. I mean, I just don't see it. Do you? And another site, Free Republic, there was a man who'd commented, looking at the damage, and now that I look at it, it's pretty apparent that there is forward and down damage. Now, what we're looking at here, another zoomed in, to our right would be the bow, to our left would be the stern. So, as it says here, torn and crumpled backward. How would that jive with the way this supposedly went down? If this, you would think it would have been bent and crumpled forward by the larger, more powerful ship that hit this, that it wouldn't have been backward. And the last place I'm going to go here today, and let's see if I've done this properly, is, I had a picture pulled up, and I hope it's still there. And of course it's not. One second. Here we go. All right. Here is a before and an after. No damage, exact same ship. You can see the purple here. This looks like the number 3 here. And when we go down here, we can see it crumpled backward and down. Back to the stern and downward. But the approach would have not been, they didn't come in head to head. He came from his side this way. You'd think it would have pushed it, especially with that big sonar boom. Underneath would have been pushing this thing up and crumpling it upward. Now that's just a spitball analysis. That's not something professional. But it just seems odd, and that with absolutely no paint transfer whatsoever anywhere just seems very, very, very strange to me. I mean, we see all this gray mark all over this, and it's also been pointed out that see how low slung this is right here, and how high the damage is here? It's just strange. With all of the other inconsistencies now, and with the Navy not wanting the Japanese to even have access to the crew, and they're saying this is just professional negligence and incompetence, and everybody wanting to throw the crew of the destroyer under the bus on this. I just don't know. And then they've released the captain. I mean, how do you do an investigation? And the Navy has said they're not even going to complete their investigation until September. That's when they're going to release their findings. They're not even going to try to say anything conclusively until then. So, honestly, I think they're just trying to wait out the news cycle and hoping something else comes up in the news over the summer and people just forget about it, and there's something else going on. That's all I can say. You know, there's lots of theories we could, posit on here, and you guys have been great. So many incredible, intelligent, experienced people down in the comments section. Absolutely fantastic. Keep it up, and we will keep the channel going. And if anybody has any ideas, anything they think I've missed that we could cover and we could bring to the forefront and let everybody take apart and analyze, feel free. But like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for the support. We will see you next time.